So this lightning talk is titled Hooked on Data, Teaching Data Fundamentals to Students Through Data Physicalization and Crochet. I am Alexandra Wong, a data visualization and analytics librarian at York University. I'm joined by Priscilla Carmini, the scholarly communications librarian at York as well. York University is located in Toronto, Canada. It's the third largest university in Canada with over 55,000 students. Founded in 1959, York prides itself on its extremely diverse and global population, with a vision to empower its students to enact positive change. York University initially focused on the liberal arts and still has a large student population in the liberal arts, but has also since expanded with many faculties. Serving this growing population is our small but mighty York University libraries. We have long moved past the days of quietly organizing library card catalogs and now focus not just on our collection of resources like books, scholarly journals, and archives, but we also champion open access, knowledge mobilization, information data literacy, and partner with researchers to manage their data throughout their research lifecycle. Crucially, we also provide instruction and consultation and research services for our students. One prong of that is our co-curricular workshops on various topics of information literacy, data literacy, research skills, media creation, and more. We aim to round out students' educations, equipping them with the skills they need both in the classroom and when they graduate. And so, of course, data and data visualization are so important to introduce to all students, regardless of their area of study. Data physicalization is essentially data visualization, but with a twist. There's some type of physical component to it, in contrast to its purely visual counterparts. We were inspired to create this workshop on data physicalization after learning about the rich history of data physicalization, as well as how it was being applied in classrooms by those like Charles Perrin at the University of Victoria. We were inspired by the reinterpretation of history and the history of data visualization when data physicalization is included in that mix. For example, before Charles Menard, there were also quipus, Incan data storage through knotted ropes. Both Priscilla and I have long crocheted, and we were inspired by the idea of taking the historically feminine craft of crochet into the realm of data. I'm now going to pass you on to Priscilla to talk more about our data physicalization workshop.
Thanks so much, Alex. We took inspiration from the popular temperature blanket crochet project. Temperature blankets, initially designed to show the impacts of climate change, have now become a popular data physicalization crafting project. Crafters typically take either daily, weekly, or monthly temperature data points from their respective locations, assign a color and coding scheme for a range of temperatures, and crochet one row for each data point. So we decided to modify the initial idea of a temperature blanket into a temperature potholder, which you see in the middle of this slide, so that we could create a kit that included all the materials needed to create a craft. We used temperature microdata for Toronto, Canada from the historical climate data site available via the Government of Canada. Initially, we had decided on creating a finished piece that it could include monthly mean temperature data from January to December 2022. However, we realized that the finished piece would be too small to function as a potholder. We then decided to increase the number of data points to include monthly mean temperature points from Toronto between May 2021 to December 2022 to create a functional potholder, which you can see here as well. As the activity was focused on bringing data to life in the analog world through crochet, we wanted the workshop itself to be almost completely offline. We created a handout that included data physicalization examples, data definitions, and exercises for students to work through. In addition, Alex and I provided the students with a kit that included 12 different yarn colors, along with a crochet hook and a yarn needle, and allowed them to choose their own temperature ranges and color encoding schemes for their temperature potholders. Through this activity, students became inspired to try encoding other data points, such as their menstrual cycles and hours of sleep. Overall, the workshop was well received by our students. They found the activity fun and relaxing, but also as a good starting point to learn more about data literacy. We were delighted by the ways in which our students, who had previously said that they were all complete beginners in working with data, became inspired to seek out and track data points in their own lives and find ways to creatively visualize them both offline and online. In the future, we hope to reintroduce this activity along with other data physicalization-based crafting activities as a drop-in program at our library. Thank you so much.
I was curious just to get a sense of, how long did something like this take? Like, you obviously had to teach folks about data physicalization, but then I'm assuming you also had to teach them about crochet. Is that correct?
Yes. So we spent about an hour and a half, I believe, on this workshop with the students. The first half was teaching them about data, and the second half was about actually getting them to crochet.
Great, thank you. And then this was all undergraduate students, correct? So do you have plans to expand on
And we
this and
spent a
maybe?
good while to plan our workshop. Well, once we solve climate change, I think we're going to take on, I don't know, global hunger next. No, I'm kidding. We did talk about menstrual cycles with our students, and I was actually very heartened because we had a student come up to us after our workshop to learn that she was inspired by our conversations, and she is doing an exhibit now. She was a fine art student, and she is now part of an exhibit using a data physicalization all about online harassment of academics, particularly female and racialized academics, with a data physicalization component to her artwork too. So I think there's a lot of applications of data physicalization. Really, the sky's the limit. And I personally have always been a crafter, so probably leaning into that side and the feminine side of things. But we'll see where we go. We're thinking of doing something like collage next, since it takes less time to learn how to collage than to crochet. Priscilla and I were friends first. We both studied together to get our master's in librarianship, and worked together at a different institution, the University of Toronto first, before we both became librarians at York. And we're always just big crocheters, and I think she came to this project with the idea of inspiring students to use craft to understand data more. And I came maybe with a bit more of a data background and data in my work portfolio, but wanting to integrate craft in it too, because we both love it so much. I think I answered this briefly, but we do want to explore other mediums. Crochet is so much fun, but we're thinking of embroidery, for example, collage, and maybe something more like quilting or Lego. So inspired by Elsie's presentation. And yes, the libraries have been very supportive, thankfully, for our workshop. They provided the funds to get us started and are excited to see future iterations of the workshop, our workshops. So we'll see where it goes. It was a little bit labor intensive to put together the materials too. It was literally me winding those little balls of yarn from a larger ball of yarn in the evenings. So we might need to request some support there to get smaller balls of yarn wound somehow, if we're going to expand larger. But there's also other opportunities like using cross stitch or embroidery where the floss comes in smaller packets, so we might not have to wind them ourselves. If there's interest in teaching at DVS, I would love to. I would hope to attend Outlier in the future in person one day. Hopefully it'll be as great of a location as Porto, and the timing will work out. Thank you so much.